Good evening, everybody. Welcome to How Do I Pick My Courses in High School? My name is Amy Tremblay, and I am a secondary school guidance counselor at Gloucester High School. This evening, we'll be talking about a few different things for students coming in from grade 8 to grade 9. The OCDSB supports equity and inclusion and offers engaging pathways for all students. Our commitment to excellence for every student supports them to become collaborative, creative, critical thinkers who are prepared for anything in our ever-changing global environment. There's something for everyone in the OCDSB. This is the agenda of what we'll be discussing this evening in this session. There is a Q&A, and you can put your questions in there and we will answer them near the end of the presentation. So please feel free to go ahead and put any questions that you have as we go through, and I'll do my best to answer them at the end. So we'll be talking about Ontario graduation requirements, what students need in order to graduate from high school across the entire province of Ontario and in the OCDSB specifically. How do students choose what courses they're taking, not only in grade 9, but as they go through their entire high school career? We'll talk a little bit about Zello, which is a course planner tool that we use in the OCDSB for students to plan their pathway to graduation and actually use it for course selection every year. And we'll speak a little bit about different options that students can access to earn extra credits outside of the regular school day. And then at the end, we'll have some questions. In Ontario, there are 3 different portions of high school diploma requirements. So 40 hours of community involvement, and these can actually be started in the summer before grade 9 starts. The Ontario Secondary School Literacy requirement can be completed in 2 different ways, either through the test, which most students take in grade 10, or through the literacy course. There has been a change to the 30 high school credit requirement just recently. So students coming into grade 9 in September 2024 will now have 19 compulsory credits instead of 18 in previous years, and they'll have a total of 11 optional credits. So this is just a little change. The total number of credits has not changed. It is still 30 credits, but there is now a compulsory grade 9 or 10 technological education credit that students are required to take. So as you can see, under the compulsory credits, those are the courses that students must take. 4 credits in English, 3 in mathematics, 2 in science, and the list goes on, as you can see. And then the optional credits really are based on student interest and their pathway plans following secondary school. There's also an online learning requirement that the province of Ontario mandates. So what they ask is that students complete 2 of these 30 total credits in an online learning environment, usually asynchronous. However, even though it is called a mandatory requirement, students at this time may opt out of this requirement if it doesn't suit their learning needs. This is a typical pathway for most students coming into grade 9. Many students follow this pathway, but there are some other pathways that might look a little different. As you can see in grade 9, there are 8 listed courses there. And this is usually what a grade 9 will take: English, math, science, French, geography, an art credit, which can be visual art, music, drama, sometimes dance. This will vary between different schools in the OCDSB, and I'll tell you a little bit about how you can look at where those courses are offered. A physical education course and the technical education course. As you can see, there's an asterisk on some of those courses. This is the suggested year that students would take those, but they can actually be taken at any point throughout a student's high school career. As we move from grade 9 to grade 12, you can see that the number of courses listed decreases. It's not that students are taking fewer credits, it's that they have more options. So these credits that are actually listed, those represent the compulsory or the required courses, and the empty boxes would be where your students are making those selections or optional choices. So for example, a student who's interested in a science pathway may in grade 11 choose to take more science. A student may choose more art courses or physical activity, technology, lots of different variety of choices in the OCDSB, and every school is a little bit different. You can see what courses are available at each school by going to the school's website. And on the main page, there's a link to the secondary school guide at each school. And you can see what courses or what selections are available in each school. It's a really good idea to plan backwards. So even though students are coming into grade 9, it is a really good idea to start thinking about where they want to end up. And that's something that we will help them with when they come to high school. So coming into grade 9 from grade 8, students now have a little bit of choice, which is a little different from their experience in elementary school. And it can be sometimes a little bit intimidating knowing what to do, asking questions about who they can talk to, about their course selection, what they should consider when they're planning these choices. Families, parents, guardians, friends, of course, teachers are really good people to speak to when students are making the decisions, not just when they're in grade 8, but as they go forward in their high school career, because students are ever changing and their interests change, their goals change, and it's a really good idea for them to have continuous or conversations throughout their career to help them make the right choices and make sure they're on the path to what they need to take for their goals. So as you can see, they should be considering what their interests are, what they enjoy doing, thinking about what kind of working environment they might want to work in. Of course, they don't need to make these decisions right in grade 9, but they should definitely start thinking about that. And have many conversations with people who know them well. How does course selection actually happen? So using a tool called Zello Course Planner, students who are currently OCDSB students, so those are students who are currently at an Ottawa District or Ottawa-Carleton District School Board course, they will be familiar with Zello. They're using it in elementary already, and they will use that for course selection. This tool will open up for students in grade 8 in January, and it will close in March. So students who are currently OCDSB students will make their course selection in their grade 8 schools with their classroom teachers. Secondary schools, so guidance counselors such as myself, will visit grade 8 schools and do presentations about specifics of the high school that they are planning to attend, and will help guide them through some of that process with their grade 8 teacher. So they're not doing it alone, but there definitely should be conversations at home about what those elective choices are. And I will get to questions at the end of the presentation. I see somebody raise their hand there. For students that are not currently OCDSB students, they will choose their courses usually on a paper registration form that's available during the registration process. They will meet with an administrator and a guidance counselor and go through what is available at each school. Earlier, I mentioned that there would be some options about, options of how students can earn extra credits. So in a regular school day, students will take 8 different courses. But there is an opportunity for students to earn extra credits outside of the regular school day. One of these opportunities is summer school. So students between grade 9 and 12 can take a summer school course, usually during the month of July, in order to earn an extra credit. Sometimes this could be 2 credits if they take a cooperative education course. Students in grade 8 can sometimes, if it's offered, take a grade 9 course during the summer before they start high school. For example, at our school, we had some students who took grade 9 geography before coming to grade 9, and so they were able to choose a different 8th credit during their grade 9 year. International language credit programs are available to secondary students. These run as full year courses, usually on Saturdays, sometimes in the evening. And there's a variety of different languages available to students based on interest. For these different ones, students may be taking a new language, or they might be developing a language that they already speak and want to continue learning. We also have specialized programs for certain student groups, such as Indigenous youth, Black youth, 2S LGBTQI+ youth, and English language learners. And as students get into their grade 11 and 12 year, they may elect to take a night school credit. These are all available. More information is available on the OCDSB website. This slide shows so many different things, and it can be a little bit overwhelming, but there are so many different amazing opportunities for students in high school that students can experience throughout their career. As a guidance counselor and as a school teacher, we will go through many of these choices with students as they make their way through high school, but it just shows the variety that the OCDSB offers to students in all different pathways, really trying to offer something for all students in all areas. And now I will go to the question box. Will this information be available online after? I believe it will be available if you've registered. Sure. Group 1, 2, and 3, there was a question about that. I'm going to go back to that slide over here. So group 1, 2, and 3 are credits in different areas. There's a selection. So for example, cooperative education is a credit that can satisfy group 1, 2, or 3. It usually is an additional credit in one of the areas. So for example, group 3 is a credit in a grade 11 or 12 science or technology. And those are listed on the OCDSB website, but also if you just Google Ontario high school requirements. Reading a question here about Stittsville, does not have any guidance counselors. How do our grade 8s? I don't know exactly too much information about the new Stittsville High School, but I would say please don't worry. Your students will be well taken care of. I know there is planning going into helping those students transition. I would reach out if you want to send me an email. My email is amy.tremblay@ocdsb.ca. If you send me a message, I can direct it to somebody that I think can help you with that. I'll put it here for you. Will students be able to register for courses with the new good question. I'm not from Stittsville High School, but again, if you want to send me a message, I will direct your answer or your question to somebody who is able to answer that for you. And I'm sending you my email address there. Is a 1 credit course a full year course, a 0.5 credit half year? So most of our schools in the OCDSB are semestered, which means students take 4 courses for half the year and then 4 new courses. Some schools have full year credits. Two of our schools have non-semestered programs. A half credit means that it is half of the instructional time, and there's only 2, careers and civics, and they are usually taught one right after the other in the same semester. But if it was a full year school, it would be half. Those would both be half year. If it was a semestered school, they would be half semester. My child is not in the OCSB. Will she have access to all courses? So students coming in from other school boards can make registration appointments, and we can do those. Many schools do some registrations in June, and others will do them right before school starts. We will make sure that students have access to the compulsory credits. There are some times where students have an influx of students and some elective choices may not be available, but please contact the school that you're planning to attend and they can give you information about what courses are available. You can also visit their homeschool website and look at that secondary course guide to see what courses are available at each school. That is correct. Kernel By is unsemestered, but you will still choose your courses in the same way once the student, if they're going into the IB program, once they've been accepted, they will select choices for Kernel By, which is an IB, and also Marivale. So even though it's unsemestered, they will still use Zello to choose their courses. Semestered versus non-semestered. So students in a semestered high school take 4 courses each semester. The semesters generally go from from September to the end of January, and then from February to June. In a non-semestered high school, students are still taking 8 courses, but they're taking them for the full year. The available courses are usually quite similar. Some schools are able to offer certain courses. For example, some schools offer transportation technology, and they have classrooms set up to teach those courses, whereas other schools may have media studies, and they might offer different programming. So it's really important to look at what the different high schools are offering. And you can do that again by using the secondary course guide on each school's website. Students who are not OCDSB students can register, can fill in the online registration, I believe, at any point, and then schools will reach out to you to set up a registration appointment. It's a little early in January to register, but please, if you're nervous or you're worried, contact your school, and they will help walk you through the registration process. What does computer science? Computer science under the pathway slide, just talking about different programs that are available. It's really just a very full slide. I think it's on here that you're saying. So it's, if you notice, it mentions computer science as a subject area. It also lists English, science. So there's a lot of different words there just to show different pathways. I think that brings us to the end of our time. I'm going to ask you to now go and choose your next session. Thank you so much for joining us here. So if you were in this group at 7:20, please make your way to another session. This session will be beginning in just a moment. Good evening and welcome. My name is Amy Tremblay and I'm a guidance counselor at Gloucester High School. This evening, I'll be hosting a session on how students can pick their courses as they come into high school. There is a Q&A. You can type your questions in the chat and I will answer them closer to the end of the presentation. I think everybody can access that. So the OCDSB supports students' equity and inclusion and offers engaging pathways for all students. Our commitment to excellence for every student supports them to become collaborative, creative, critical thinkers who are prepared for the ever-changing global environment. There's something for everybody in the OCDSB. So this is what we will be speaking about this evening. So what are the Ontario graduation requirements? What do you actually need to graduate from high school to earn your Ontario secondary school diploma? What things should students consider when choosing high school courses? Who should they ask for help? Where do they go for advice? And then the Zello course planner. How do students actually select their courses as they come from grade 8 into grade 9? And what are some options for earning high school credits outside of the regular school day? And then, as I mentioned, I will stop about 5 minutes before the end of the session to answer as many questions as possible. So this is a slide that shows the Ontario high school requirements for all students in Ontario who are working towards an Ontario secondary school diploma. There are other pathways that some students follow, but this is the majority of students. Majority of students are working towards this pathway. So this involves 40 hours of community involvement. This can start the summer before grade 9. Students can start recording those hours. It also involves the Ontario literacy requirement. So this can be completed, usually it's completed in grade 10 or 11, where students take a provincial-wide test, or once they've taken the test, they can also opt to take the secondary school literacy course if they were not successful on the test. There has been a small change in the breakdown of credits that are required recently. So 30 high school credits are required to graduate. This number has not changed. However, the number of compulsory credits has increased by 1 because as of September 2024, students entering grade 9 will be required to take a mandatory or compulsory grade 9 or 10 technology education credit. But the total number of credits hasn't changed. There was a number of questions about group 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. You can see that compulsory credits total 19. You can see the list there. And then at the bottom of the compulsory credits, it says 3 credits from group 1, 2, and 3. 1 credit from each group. So if you were to Google this, Ontario high school credits, you can find a full list. But just to give you some examples, a group 1 credit would be an additional French as a second language credit, an additional language credit. So if a student is taking, for example, Spanish or Japanese, this would count as a group 1, a social science credit, a Canadian and world studies credit, or a cooperative education credit. So all of those would satisfy the group 1 credit. Group 2 credits include an additional physical education credit, an additional art credit or business credit, and again, cooperative education will satisfy the group 2. For group 3 credits, that is an additional science credit or technological education credit at the grade 11 level or higher, or cooperative education. So those are some different examples of how those groups can be satisfied. If you do have questions, please go ahead and put them in the Q&A, the chat box there, and I will answer them at the end of the session. The optional credits, so students are required to take a total of 11. And this really depends on what the students' interests are and where they plan to go after high school, after secondary school. And those are ongoing conversations that they'll have with their families, with their guidance counselors and teachers throughout their high school career. There's also an online learning requirement where the province has asked that students take at least 2 of these 30 credits as e-learning courses or asynchronous e-learning courses. However, at this time, students can still opt out of this requirement if they so choose. And each high school will be able to give you more information about this. It's a very simple form to fill out. This is this shows a similar pathway of what most students take. Many students will take the same credits in grade 9 with the exception of a couple of choices. So as you can see in grade 9, many of the compulsory courses listed from the previous slide are listed in grade 9. As they move towards grade 12, there's fewer and fewer compulsory credits that they are required to take and more choice or more place for elective courses. Students generally take 8 credits a year, with some students taking fewer than that in grade 12. So the little asterisk beside art, physical education, and tech education, grade 9 or 10, those are where the suggested courses are, but some students elect to take those in different years, and that's okay, and that's a conversation to have with families and guidance counselors at each school. The other thing that might be a little different depending on programming would be if a student is in French immersion, there would be different requirements. And so some of those grade 9 courses, for example, at some schools, geography is offered in French, and a student in French immersion would take that same geography course, but in French, and meet the requirements of the French immersion program. Students who are in an ESL, an English as a Second Language program, may also take more English courses until they make their way into usually about grade 10 English is where the transition usually occurs. So lots of choice near the end of their high school career, but really choices that are going to impact their graduation plan and their post-secondary plan. How do they choose these courses, and who should they talk to? They should talk to people who know them well. Their guardians, families, friends, other adults in their life, teachers. Grade 8 teachers are a great resource to talk to, and grade 9 to 12 teachers will also have those conversations with students as they work their way through. They should be considering what they're interested in, what their strengths are, what they like doing, what kind of environment they see themselves working in. That will really help guide their choices as they get closer to graduation and really make those decisions about what they want to do post-secondary. How do they actually choose these courses? So students who are OCDSB students who are currently at one of our elementary schools in the Ottawa-Carleton District School Board, they will be doing course selection with their grade 8 teachers using a platform called Zello Course Planner. This is something that many of them have already used to do some career exploration, and this is how they will select their courses. And their grade 8 teachers and high school guidance counselors will guide them through this process. Secondary school guidance counselors will visit grade 8 sites to help with the course selection process and to talk about specifics of the schools that they are attending. They can access this through the student portal, through the OCDSB website. Students who are not currently OCDSB students will be able to select their courses during registration. So whenever that registration occurs, whether it's at the end of this school year or right before school starts in September, guidance counselors will help them make those selections. Remember, in grade 9, there are not a lot of choices. So students will be taking primarily compulsory courses, and then we'll have a little bit of option. A really good place to look at what courses are available at different schools is on the websites of each secondary school. There's a secondary course guide link. It's usually on the right-hand side down near the bottom, and that will open up Zello and show you which courses are available at each school. Earlier, I mentioned that there were some opportunities available to students who wanted to take more than the 8 credits that they would be able to fit into their regular school year. So some of these extra continuing education programs would include summer school. This is usually even available to students coming into grade 9. There's usually 1 or 2 options for them to take a grade 9 credit before they begin. And if they do finish that before they enter grade 9, guidance counselors will help them select another course that will fit in their schedule. There's also international language credit programs at the secondary school level where students are able to take another language, possibly a language they've really been hoping to learn, or a language that they want to continue learning. These run full year. Some of those summer programs also exist for specific student groups, Indigenous youth, Black youth, and 2S LGBTQ youth, and English language learners. And of course, as they get older, there will be an opportunity for students to take a course in night school. And those courses are changed depending on student demand. This very busy Pathways to Graduation slide just shows the variety of programming available at the OCDSB. It definitely does not list everything that's available, but it shows you how many different things students are able to access from different pathways, including workplace, apprenticeship, college, and university pathways, really making their high school experience rich and varied. I'm going to go to the chat box now to answer some of these questions that you have been posting. Let me just take a look here. Somebody asked, can we choose which school that is not a feeder school or have an IB program? So you can complete, if you're planning to attend a school that is not your home school, you can complete a student transfer request. For the IB program, there is an application process. If you go on the OCDSB website, you can find out more about those programs. And if you Google student transfer OCDSB, it'll bring you to the page that has the application. A student is asking about the IB program. If they would like to join, do you have to wait or apply to the elective school? So if you are planning to attend or you're hoping to attend an IB program, and you will be asked to select courses at your home school. If you are accepted into that program, that school will reach out to you and have you select courses with them. There are no special circumstances at this time needed to opt out of the online learning. It's really a personal decision. Some students do not want to participate in online learning, considering our past couple of years. I don't know if this mandatory role, if the opt-out will be removed in the future. At this time, though, it's a simple form to fill out. And should a student fill out the opt-out form for the online learning, and then they do take an online course, there's no issue with that. So it can be reversed or put in place at any time throughout their high school career. Can children choose a high school to attend, or are they geographically neighborhood assigned? There are boundaries and catchment areas for each secondary school. Some schools have specialized programs where students may be applying to them to get in. So for example, the IB program takes students from all different areas of the city, but students do have a designated home school, and if they want to attend a school outside of this boundary or catchment area, they must complete a student transfer. And if you look on the OCDSB website, you can find more information about that. Just gonna answer a few more questions here. Can you explain the French immersion? So French immersion, the French immersion program as it currently exists requires students to take a total of 10 of their 30 credits in French. So that would be the French language course, grade 9, 10, 11, and 12, and then 6 other courses in French. It varies from school to school based on what courses are being offered in French. Many schools offer, for example, in grade 9, the geography and the science in French. In grade 10, they would have history in French, science in French, and grade 11 or 12 usually has another option in the social science area. But it really varies from school to school. But French immersion program requires students to take 10 credits in French, including the 4 grade level French courses. Extended French immersion would be 7 credits in French. So the 4 French language courses and then 3 additional credits in French. Optional courses in the last 2 years of school rather than the first 2. Yes, so most students in grade 9 and 10 are taking mostly compulsory level courses. If I go back to this slide here, you can see that in grade 9 and 10, there isn't as much choice. Although in grade 10, you can choose to take some of those groups that I mentioned. You really have more choice as you get into grade 11 and 12. I believe the presentation will be available to registrants afterwards. It's a good question. If they're choosing courses for different years, can they be in class with students from other grades? Normally in grade 9, grade 9s are all together, and that is the majority of the students in those courses. However, yes, as they go through the other grades, it is possible that they are in courses that have multi-grade levels. Different levels for English and math. So all schools are now offering de-streamed grade 9 and 10 mathematics. So students are choosing their leveled pathways in grade 11. So for example, in grade 11 in mathematics, there are 4 pathways: workplace, college, mixed, and university. So they're not making that decision until a little bit later. Just going to answer a few more, and then I'm going to make sure that everybody in here goes to another session, which the other session will start at 8 o'clock. A half credit, there are only 2 half credits, careers and civics, that are compulsory credits. So in a semestered school, which means that students take 4 courses in the first part of the year from September to January, and then from February to June, they take another 4 courses. Those civics and careers are half a semester. So they do, for example, from September to the midterm, which is about middle of November, they would take civics and then it would switch over to careers. In a full year program, so in a non-semestered school, they would take the civics for half the year and then the careers for the other half. Most credits are 1 full credit. Could I get all my credits in grade 9? I'm not sure if this person means, could they get all 30 credits? That would not really be possible, but students could definitely take 9 credits in grade 9. So taking a summer school course, coming in with 1, take 8. Night school is not usually available for grade 9 and 10 credits, but then they could do another summer school course at the end. So by the time they enter grade 10, they could possibly have 10 credits. Most grade 9 classes are offered in both semestered. There are not many in a semestered school, there are not many full year classes. AP classes or courses are not offered at every school. You can look on the secondary course guide to see which schools do have them available. These would only be at the senior level courses. Volunteer hours. So there has been a recent change to volunteer hours and what is available now. If you go to your homeschool website, secondary school website for your homeschool, you can take a look at what volunteer requirements include. It has changed since COVID we've moved back to the sort of the normal requirements. There were some changes made during COVID. Please move on to the next presentation that you're going to, and I'm going to start this new one in just a moment. Good evening, everybody. My name is Amy Tremblay, and I am a guidance counselor at one of our OCDSB schools. And this evening, I'm going to talk to you about how students coming from grade 8 to grade 9 pick their courses. If you have any questions during the presentation, please put them in the chat box, and I'll answer as many of them as possible in the last 5 minutes of this presentation. The OCDSB supports equity and inclusion and offers engaging pathways for all students. Our commitment to excellence for every student supports them to become collaborative, critical thinkers who are prepared for the ever-changing global environment. There's something for everybody in the OCDSB. Here's a little bit about what we will talk about this evening in this session. So we're going to go over what the Ontario graduation requirements are. What do students actually need in order to graduate with an Ontario secondary school diploma? And this is the same across all schools in Ontario. What students should consider when they're choosing their high school courses, who to ask for help, and how to actually choose their courses using Zello. And then looking very briefly at some other options for earning additional credits outside of the regular school day. And as I mentioned, in the last 5 minutes, I will answer some questions as you put them into the chat. The Ontario high school requirements for the Ontario Secondary School Diploma are the same at all schools in Ontario. So this shows you the 3 requirements, so 40 hours of community involvement, 30 high school credits, and the Ontario literacy requirement. The 40 hours of community involvement can be done in the summer leading up to grade 9. So grade 8 students can start recording hours before they come into grade 9. And the Ontario literacy requirement is usually completed in the grade 10 year for most students when they write the test. It is a standardized test across the province. If they are not successful in this, they will also have the option of doing the literacy course, which will satisfy their requirement. The 30 high school credits has not changed. However, the breakdown of the credits required is just a little bit different going into September 2024. So 19 of these credits are compulsory, meaning they must take these credits. And you can see the list there where it lists the number of different credits that are required. In September 2024, a new requirement is that all students entering grade 9 will be required to take a credit in grade 9 or 10 technological education. So that is a change from the current requirements. And then 11 of the credits out of the 30 are optional or chosen from available courses in the school. So the total number of credits has not changed, but there is now a required tech credit. You can see there, it says at the bottom, 3 credits from group 1, 2, and 3. These are additional credits in some of those compulsory areas. So for example, a group 1 credit could be an additional French credit, an additional international language credit, social science, Canadian World Studies. A group 2 credit could be an additional phys ed, art, business credit. And the group 3 would be a grade 11 science or tech credit. Cooperative education can be used for all of the groups and will satisfy 1, 2, or 3. The online learning requirement is the province asking students to complete 2 of the 30 high school credits in an asynchronous e-learning format. It is a requirement, however, it is also there is also an opt-out of this requirement for students at this time, meaning they can, with the permission of their guardians, choose to not meet this requirement. They will not be penalized and they will still earn their OSSD. I don't know for sure if that will continue to have the opt-out, but it is currently in place. And that's up to students and families to make that decision. It can be reversed. So if a student completes the opt-out form and then takes an e-learning course, they will have the and they decide they want to take an e-learning course, it can be reversed at any time, or they can opt out at any time as well. This is a typical pathway of students entering grade 9. There are some students in different programs that their pathway to graduation may look a little bit different, but most students entering grade 9 will take many compulsory credits. So you can see they're taking English, math, science, French, geography, art, phys ed, and tech. Now, art, tech, and phys ed may be taken at later points throughout their career, but many students take those 8 courses in grade 9, whether they are in semestered or non-semestered schools. In grade 10, they're taking a few fewer compulsory credits, and you can see as they work towards grade 12, there are fewer compulsory credits, but more areas for elective courses or options. And this will be based on what their goals are, where they're planning to either go to post-secondary, or if they're planning to go into the workforce or apprentice. This will depend on what they're planning to do, what courses they select. And it's also based on interest. As they get into the older or the higher grades, they have more choice about what they are learning and taking. Students who are in French immersion will take some of those grade 9 and 10 courses in French, and there are requirements to meet the French immersion program. Some of you may have heard my answer before we started, but students who are in French immersion must take 10 credits in French language, so 4 French language courses, and then 6 subjects or 6 other courses or credits in French. Students in extended French will take all 4 grade level French courses and then 3 other credits. Students who are in English as a second language program will also take more than the required amount of English as they make their way towards English language proficiency. Who should students be talking to when they're selecting their courses? Really, any adult or person in their life who knows them and knows what their strengths are, their interests are. Of course, family members, guardians, and grade 8 teachers are really good resources. As they come into grade 9, we will help support them as well as they choose their courses in the following years. And secondary school guidance counselors will visit feeder schools to help with presentations about course selection. Students should be considering what their interests are, what they think they enjoy doing, where they want to work, what career they'd like to enter into. They should think about how they learn and where they might want to go in the future. This is not a static discussion. This is an ongoing, continuously changing conversation that students will have from the beginning of grade 9 all the way to grade 12. Our students in grade 12 right now are preparing to apply for university and college in some cases, and we are still having those conversations. And it's really important that they continue to ask themselves these questions to make sure that they're setting themselves up for success, not only for graduation, but for their post-secondary plans. How does course selection happen in secondary school? So there are 2 different possibilities here, as you can see. Students who are currently in OCDSB schools, so our feeder schools are elementary schools, they will make course selections with their grade 8 teachers between January and March. So using Zello, which some of you may have heard about or seen, they will make their course selection. This is a platform that allows for career exploration, and many students have already used it before they use it for course selection, and their teachers will walk them through this. As I mentioned, guidance counselors from the high schools will visit students and classes in the grade 8 schools and help them with making those selections. However, they can go in, it's accessible through the OCDSB student portal, and there's a little widget that says Zello, and they can go in to look at those tools. They just won't be able to submit their course selections until the window is open. Students who are in non-OCDSB schools will make their course selections when they register. So for some students, that might be at the end of the school year this year, or it might be right before we start in September. If you're considering registering your student at an OCDSB school and they are not currently at one, you can contact your home school or go to the OCDSB website and fill in the online registration to find out what school your student would attend. And then those course selections will be done when they meet with the guidance counselor at the school at which they will be attending. Some of the other ways for students to earn credits in high school and secondary school include summer school. So some secondary school courses are offered for students even as they enter grade 9. So some students may elect to take a grade 9 credit in summer school and then choose a different course in grade 9 when they enter. Another option is taking an international language program. This is available at the secondary level, and there's a variety of languages available. So students may be taking a language that they've always wanted to learn, or they might be continuing to learn a language that they already speak and understand, but want to take all the way through to the grade 12 level. This is a full year program, and it's often run on Saturdays, but there are sometimes evening courses available. There are also specialized programs for some specific student groups, including Indigenous youth, Black youth, 2S LGBTQ+, and English language learners. And these are offered sometimes as a summer school course or sometimes during the school year in the evening. As students get older and maybe are thinking about their pathway where they're going after high school, they may elect to take a night school credit, which may offer them the possibility of taking a course that might not exist at their school or doing a cooperative education placement in the evening. So those are some different ways that students are able to earn credits in addition to their day school credits. This slide shows so many of the different pathways and opportunities that students in the OCDSB have access to. It definitely doesn't show them all, but it shows that there is a place for all students in the OCDSB, students who are planning to go into the workplace, into apprenticeship programs, college, university, and as they work their way through secondary school, school staff will be there to help support them, have those ongoing conversations with students and their guardians and families to help them make the best choices and make sure that they're on a path to success. I'm going to go to the question box now and see what questions we have here. Okay, answered that one already. Is the course selection procedure different if the student is in a specialized program? If a student is in a specialized program, there will likely be a transition meeting between the grade 8 school and the grade 9 school, and they will help guide that course selection for those students. If it is a credit program, many of the courses will be similar, but it can be sometimes program specific. So if that is the program that your child is planning to go into, please contact the school and they will help support you in that process. Are there any grade 9 courses available online? Really good question. There are a very few number of e-learning courses available online. That changes from year to year, and many e-learning courses run based on demand. So if e-learning courses are what you're interested in, please ask either your grade 8 teacher if you're in grade 8, or you can reach out to your home school, which will be your secondary school, and ask the guidance team there to see what would be available for you. Schools are semestered and non-semestered. So most schools in the OCDSB, most secondary schools are semestered, meaning students take 4 courses from September to February, or September to the end of January, and then from February to June, they take another 4. There are some schools currently right now, Maryville and Colonel By, where they offer non-semester programs. Good question. If a non-OCDSB student chooses their courses later than those already in the OCDSB, does this limit their choices for courses? Schools plan for new students to be registering. Is it possible that some courses may be full? Yes, to be honest, I suppose it is. But grade 9 courses, because there are so many of them are compulsory, there is most often space for any new students coming in. If you're worried about what might be available, please contact the school that you're planning to register at, and they can talk to you about what options are available. But we would always fully schedule a grade 9. Let's see one. The native speaker of a foreign language end up assigned to a higher level class than their grade. Students who are coming from other parts of the world who have been in non-English language programs will go through the Family Reception Center, and their grade level will be assessed for language and math. And schools will use that assessment or those recommendations to help students select the correct level for them. So is it possible? It is possible. Students can definitely go to Harvard living in Canada. Students can apply to US schools. There's a different process than there would be for applying to Ontario schools, but your guidance counselors at your secondary school can help you with that. You would not be applying until you're in grade 12. Same with college. Grade 9 or 10 tech course. There's a variety of different choices available. Some schools offer transportation technology, woodworking, electrical and plumbing. Some schools offer digital technology. So the technology courses, there are many options. Some schools have more choices than others, but if you go to secondary school website of the school you're planning to go to, you can look at their secondary course guide to see what tech courses are available at that school. The International Language Credit Program is offered through continuing education, and it's available to all students at all schools. They register through their guidance counselors. The grade 9 courses offered in the summer change from year to year. Last year, it was geography and grade 9 French immersion. Pathways for graduation, more information about that can be found out from your secondary school guidance team. They will have lots of information for you to find out about those different pathways. 2 more questions and then we'll be done here. International languages available. If you Google OCDSB International Language Program, you'll find the link to the programs available, or even OCDSB programs, and then you can go under continuing education and you'll find a list of the languages. It changes from year to year based on teacher availability and how many students register for the programs. If a student wants a specific course, is it a first come, first serve? We try to, and I will speak from my school, but it would be the same at any school. We really try to make sure that our grade 9s get off to a good start, and we're going to do the best we can to make sure they are in the courses that they selected. Sometimes there are conflicts, courses offered at the same time, but we will always work with students and families to make sure that they have a good schedule, something that they can be successful in. Should we register in January, March 2024 for the 2024-20? If your student is in an OCDSB school, they will select their courses with their grade 8 teachers. If you are coming from outside of the OCDSB, you can definitely fill in the online registration, and you'll be able to make your registration choices when you have that appointment. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Amy Tremblay, and I am a guidance counselor at an OCDSB school. And I will be presenting this evening about how students pick their courses as they come into grade 9. The OCDSB supports equity and inclusion and offers engaging pathways for all students. Our commitment is to excellence, and to support all students as they become collaborative, creative, critical thinkers who are ready for the ever-changing global environment. There's a pathway for everybody in the OCDSB. If you have questions throughout the presentation, please go ahead and put them in the chat, and I will leave some time at the end of the presentation to answer as many of those as possible. Here's what we'll be discussing this evening: Ontario High School graduation requirements, what you need in order to graduate with an Ontario Secondary School Diploma, how to choose those courses whose students can go to for help and advice, what tool, the tool that we use for course selection is called Zello, and I'll talk a little bit about that and how students will make those selections this year. And then I'll mention a few different opportunities that students have to take credits outside of the school day and what a credit is. And then we'll answer some questions at the end. So as you can see, there are 3 main requirements for Ontario Secondary School Diploma. So 40 hours of community involvement, and students can start recording these hours in the grade 8 to grade 9 transition summer. So as students come from grade 8 into grade 9, if they've done some volunteering over the summer, those hours can be recorded. The Ontario literacy requirement is a second component of the diploma. This is usually completed in the grade 10 year. Students write a standardized provincial test. Some students also, after taking the test, if they are not successful, they have the opportunity to take the literacy course, which will count as a credit. And then the last component, the one most of you have heard probably the most about, is the number of credits. So students are required to earn a minimum of 30 high school credits in order to complete their high school, or to achieve their high school diploma. 19 of these credits are compulsory. That is a bit of a change from previous years, it used to be 18 compulsory, 12 optional. For September 2024, students entering grade 9, there is a new requirement for a grade 9 or 10 technical education credit. So the number of credits has not changed. It is still 30. However, the breakdown is a little different. So those 19 compulsory credits, you can see the number of English, math, science, geography, social sciences, French, arts, phys ed. And then you have the careers and civics, which are both half credits. And then 3 credits from group 1, 2, and 3. And those credits are areas of subjects where students are taking an additional course to meet that criteria. So for example, group 1 would be an additional language credit, an additional social science or Canadian world studies. A group 2 would be an additional phys ed, art, or business credit. And a group 3 would be an additional, usually senior science or technology. Group 1, 2, and 3 can also be satisfied through cooperative education, which is usually taken in grade 11 or 12, and that will cover all of those groups. There's also an online learning requirement. 2 of the 30 credits must be taken from online asynchronous courses. However, students may opt out of this requirement. I know that sounds a little bit confusing that students can opt out of a requirement, but at this time, students may opt out, and they can do so at any point throughout their high school career. And if students have opted out and then they take an e-learning course, there's no issue with that. We can just reverse it. This is what a typical pathway through high school looks like. Of course, every student is different, which means there might be other pathways to get to graduation. But as you can see, most students in grade 9 are taking 8 compulsory credits. And as they go from grade 9 to grade 12, there are fewer and fewer compulsory credits. So they're still taking a full course load, at least until grade 11, taking 8 courses a year. However, the elective credits become the balance of what they're taking, and that would be based on interest or where they're planning to go post-secondary. So the little asterisks beside the arts, phys ed, and tech in the grade 9 column, those are, it's just mentioning there that that's the suggested year that they take them, and most students do take them in grade 9, but there is an option to take them at a later time depending on what a student's goals and plans are, or even, you know, how their learning is going in high school. Students who are in French immersion programs will take a total of 10 credits in French. So grade 9, 10, 11, 12 French language, and then 6 other credits in French. This varies from school to school, which courses are offered in French. If you're not sure what your school will be offering, you can always look on their school website, and the secondary course guide is available, and it will open up a list of all the courses available in the school. So many schools, for example, offer geography in French and science in French in grade 9, and then history and civics, careers, and science in grade 10, and then a grade 11 or 12 elective. So some different pathways. Students who are in an English as a second language pathway will also probably have more English by the time they graduate than those 4 compulsory credits until they reach a high level of language proficiency. Who should they talk to? Who should students talk to about what they're choosing? They should talk to adults who know them well. They should talk to their grade 8 teachers as they come in, and those grade 8 teachers will help support them through the course selection process. And as they come into grade 9, guidance counselors will help them, their classroom teachers will help them. This is an ongoing conversation about what their goals are, what their interests are, where they see themselves working in what type of environment. And it does change. We see students changing their minds all the time as they find out what they're interested in and where their strengths are. It should be ongoing, and students can access, of course, staff at school, but also adults in their life who know them really well. Course selection happens in 2 different ways at the OCDSB. So students who are currently in grade 8 at an elementary school that is part of the Ottawa-Carleton District School Board will make those course selections with their grade 8 teachers using a platform called Zello. Many students are already familiar with this tool because they use it for some career and self-exploration in elementary school. This will open for those students in January and close in March. Staff from secondary schools will visit elementary schools to talk about school-specific options that exist. But those also can be seen, as I mentioned, on the secondary course guide on the school websites. Students who are non-OCDSB students and not currently at one of our schools can also choose their courses for next year, but this would be done at their registration appointment. So for those of you who might be interested in registering at an OCDSB school, you can go to the online registration portal on OCDSB, just Google it, and you can complete the registration, and then the school that you are registering at will contact you for an appointment. Most schools do these appointments at the end of June and the end of August before school starts, and you'll be able to fill out a paper course selection. Some programs that exist for students who want to take more than the regular course load of 8 credits a day. So summer school is offered a variety of courses based on student interest and demand. Some grade 9 credits are offered in summer school. So a student in grade 8 could take a course over the summer before entering grade 9, and then would be able to select a different course to make sure they have a full course load. There are also international language credit programs that are available to students at all schools. It runs, currently some of those courses are running in person and virtually. They run the full year. They're at a central location, so they're not at every single school, but all students can access them, and a variety of languages are available. If you want to learn more about that, you can go to the continuing education site through the OCDSB's website. There are also specialized programs offered for certain student groups, both summer school and evening programs for students that identify as Indigenous, Black, or 2S LGBTQ+, and English language learners. And then as students get older and are in grade 11 and 12, there are some night school credit options that are available. And this year is being done virtually, but in the past it has been done both in person and virtually. And those are some ways for students to earn more than the standard 8 credits a year. This is a slide that shows all of the exciting opportunities that are available to students in the OCDSB. It definitely does not show all of the pathways, but it gives you an idea of the variety that is available to students who are planning to go post-secondary, whether it's college, university, workplace, apprenticeship. There's something for everybody. And if you have questions about any of these in more detail than what I can give you in the time that's remaining, please contact your high school or go on the websites. Most schools have things listed on their websites about these programs, and please feel free to reach out about those. I'm going to go to the question box now and see what questions we have. Is a 1 credit course full year course? A 0.5 credit. So some schools are semestered and some schools are non-semestered. Most of our OCDSB high schools are semestered, meaning 4 courses from September to January and 4 new courses from February to June. In a semestered program, a 0.5 credit is half a semester. In a full year non-semestered school, it would be half a year. Questions here? Yes, that's a good point. So somebody mentioned that the information provided in the high school grad requirements indicates 18 and 12. That is true. This is a change for September 2024. So right now, the current requirements are 18 and 12. But for students entering grade 9, it will be 19 and 11. Dual credit gives students the opportunity to earn a high school credit and a college credit. This is usually available to students who are in grade 11 or 12 and are taking a cooperative education. If this is something you or your student is interested in, the guidance counselor at their school will be able to tell them more about it. For course selection, somebody's asking about an infographic. So students who are current students in the OCDSB will be walked through by their teachers. It is a pretty user-friendly system for most students. And if ever there are questions, please reach out to your the secondary school that your student will be attending if there's any assistance needed. Summer school courses for grade 8s. Last year, there was a geography credit offered, a grade 9 English, and I believe, French immersion. So it changes, it depends really on how many students register. So it's too early right now to know what they will offer, but we should have that information usually in May. Students who are currently in grade 9 going into grade 10 who want to take summer school, same answer. We don't have that list of courses yet, but guidance counselors will have that information late spring. Co-op is, as far as I know, available at all schools. It's an option for students who are usually in grade 11 or 12, and it gives them the opportunity to go out into a placement. Many different placements exist and earn 1 or 2 credits. So in a semestered school, it would usually be a half-day program. We've had students work in retail spaces, schools, offices, hospitals, veterinary clinics, anything you can imagine, restaurants, and give students an opportunity to try out a career and earn credits for it. It's a really great opportunity for all students. Will there be exams in grade 9 next year? I cannot answer that question. I don't know what will be mandated. Currently, most schools are not doing grade 9 exams. Could that change? Possibly. If you're deciding to move into or out of the OCDSB for grade 9, I would say if you know that already, make some plans to whatever school you're planning to go to, fill out the registration application so that your student has time to choose their courses. Are there any other questions? What year are APs offered? In grade 12. It varies, and not all schools offer AP programs or courses, but students who want to take an AP exam, even if their school does not offer the course, can usually take the exam at one of the schools that offers it. You can see what is offered at each school by going to the school website, and on the right-hand side near the bottom, it'll say secondary course guide, and that will list all the courses that are available at a specific school. If you can't find what you're looking for, reach out to the school guidance team at the school you're planning to attend. AP is not taken in grade 9 or 10. Somebody has asked why there are no exams in grade 9. That is definitely above my decision-making level. But many teachers are finding that exams only allow students to show their learning in one way. So they're using a variety of different ways for students to show what they've learned throughout the course. Usually through not only product, so an exam would be considered a product, but also observations and conversations. So it's marks are determined based on different criteria, not just a final exam. So the closing session is happening. You may want to make your way there. Thank you so much for attending the session.